Hey, folks, it is us. It's me and a new acquaintance and friend, Scott Pace. Well, I've known him for, known the name at least, and some of his images for, 5 years. Anyways, we're going to be having a great conversation. There's Scott. Just say hi to a few folks. Mike, hello. Sheldon, hello.
Hey, how
Christy,
y'all doing?
hello. Yeah. And hey, listen, I got a couple things. First of all, I'm just going to do this a little backwards. Tomorrow at 1, MK Davis should be, as usual, a grand old time. And then Thursday, my mind just went a blank. It is Sasquatch topic PA. And those guys, Josh Joyner will be with me. And before we get going, listen, in case my friend may hear this, I have a friend, Chris. He lives in Manchester, UK, and something happened today. We were doing a TikTok show, and I don't know if he had a mini stroke or he's a young guy too. He's only in his, I'm not sure what it is, so but he's like in his 35. He's like 35, around that age. And so I just asked you to send a prayer out and think about my friend Chris. He's good. He's a good young man with a good heart. He does have definitely a good heart. So, and Heavenly Father, if you hear what I just said, bless my friend and watch over him. And may everyone who hears this, may you be blessed a million times more than me. And all that did happen. Now we got Scott Pace. Scott, had a chance to talk to you for the first time yesterday, which is really bizarre because when it comes to Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, I've been a member of that for at least 4 or 5 years. When did it start?
Well, actually, it started last year. So, we David.
Well, wait a minute. Well, what was it before then?
Well, we didn't have it. We actually did not have a
last year.
Last year. I was not thinking. Now, let me go back over the whole thing for you now.
Yes, let's do that because I am so. Hey, Steve. I've been posting stuff, and David's been really generous. I've been posting stuff along and David's stuff. Well, it must be his other.
Yeah, David has some. He has
maybe you guys haven't been around. No, wait, but you can't
or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, well, you've only been around for a year.
That's it. All I've been around for a year. And so
I've been posting a lot of stuff for a year. Then that year seems like freaking half a decade.
Well, that's okay. I mean, he's got other places that he posts too, and so you and I just probably got acquainted here recently, but I approached him with the idea of Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, and I said, "What do you think about that?" And he had some books out already. He had a book out already, and actually came to visit a couple of years ago to my house in South Louisiana, and that's where we are. We're in Louisiana. David lives in North Central Louisiana. I live in South Louisiana, between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And Louisiana has a lot of cryptids here. We have a lot of different things going on. The Dogman is referred to as the Rougarou. And, Bigfoot, sometimes they call it Swamp Man, they call it a hide behind, they call them, Peaker or something like that. Different names for in different areas, I mean, that's when it goes from folklore to actually reality, well, then you start getting interested in it, But anyways, going back to David Hollis and myself, I approached him with the idea of Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot. And because that's both where we had our sightings at and where he lives at up there in North Central Louisiana. And our family lives up there, and we have property up there too, me and my wife. And so that's where I had my sightings at. And that's what the picture is right there. That's shown right there. And that's what happened actually in 2019. Had a couple of them walk up on me. And that's how that got started and everything. So that's the little background upon, how our channel got started on Facebook. So it's actually called Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot with David Hollis and myself, Scott Pace.
There we go. Scott, by the way, Scott had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Scott.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah, it
Appreciate
sounds like you sound like you had a real birthday party. That's wonderful. 3 cakes. Wow.
We've been celebrating the whole weekend.
Don't happen that often, though. The older you get, is the rare those things happen. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. That
Hey,
was a
David,
great time. Great to be with family and friends. And, us Cajuns down here, we love to cook. So we had jambalaya for the main course and all the sides to go with it yesterday. And for those of you who don't know what jambalaya, it's basically rice with sausage, smoked sausage, and chicken in it. And then today I made something called a sauce piquant. So sauce piquant, you make a roux, and then you put the Trinity in there, which is your onions, bell pepper, and your green peppers and bell peppers, and you put that down in there, and then you come back with your also chicken, and you put your sausage in there, and then you add a little red sauce in there too to kind of get it going. And that's what we did. So we had that over rice today, and that's called sauce piquant.
Dang, you're making me envious. You're making me envious. That's some real food down there.
And not too far away, we got crawfish season coming up. Just talked to one of my best friends. He shares a birthday with me also, same day. And so we are actually going to go start crawfishing here pretty soon and wait for the weather to warm up just a little bit. The crawfish will start, coming out in the swamps and everything. And then we'll go out and start having some crawfish bowls. How about that?
Just stop it. Okay. Stop it. I live here up in Northwest Ohio on the border of Michigan, and we don't have food like that. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, you got to come down here, man. You got to come down here and visit and go squatching with us. Let's go out in the woods and see if we can see some stuff, and then, and then get some good food. How about that?
Yeah. Well, we have where I live. It's the walleye capital of the world, so we do have that going for us. But
there you go. There you go.
Be honest with you, I haven't had that in such a long time. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So, anyways, let's check out some of these images and let's go with this conversation. So, you got some interesting images. For what I know of Scott is he's got a pretty interesting story as well to share, and sounds like even a message of hope in all this as well, which is a good thing. I would say.
Okay, and so this image right here is actually the one that really started off for myself. And in 2019, I was hunting and in a box stand in north central Louisiana in Kisatchie National Forest. And we have a hunting lease there. It's actually private property. And so I was on the private property right there hunting. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I got this weird vibration. So I'm sitting in a box stand, which is basically a rectangular box. And you go inside there. And I walked in, took my backpack off, and put my rifle in the corner, and just got sit down in there. And it must have been about 5:30. We got there kind of late that day. And all of a sudden, when I was kind of fumbling with my cell phone a little bit, I got this high vibration coming from the left side. I mean, really, really high-pitched noise and vibration. And all of a sudden, my 30-06 in the corner begins to vibrate. And I said, that's weird. So I reached over and grabbed it. And then when I did, I looked to my left, and I seen something there, and I didn't know what it was. It looked like a stump, and I thought immediately it came to my mind that we don't burn off our hunting lease here, And so I took my phone, I swung around, and I took a picture of what was there because I seen something moving, and I said, "The black stump's not supposed to move." So I took the picture. And whenever I took the picture, I looked at it and said, man, there's something in here. So I don't know what that is. So I took a little pair of binoculars that I have. I had a cheap set of binoculars back then. I picked them up, started looking through them, and I could see something there. I seen something look like a person. I was like, oh, wow, what's going on there? So then I pick up my rifle. So I grabbed my rifle out of the corner, I pick it up, and I look through the scope. And immediately, whenever I looked, I put it on the black figures right below. If you take your pointer, put right there, that's the face. And what I saw was a face with really, really black skin, very, very oily, and hair around it. And the eyes, what really got me was the eyes. The eyes had eyes like us. It had white around the outside, and then the inside, the pupils, I guess you would call it, were orange and yellow. And then all of a sudden, I seen something move to its left. If you look in the picture right there, you got your pointer on it. And I seen something walk up then, and it was looking at me. And I went ahead and swung over, and when I looked at it, immediately this voice came to me and told me this. It said, "Put the gun down, or I'm going to come over there and tear the building up and kill you." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, what in the world just happened? And then all of a sudden, these two began to communicate with each other. Now, let me just tell you, I've never had mind speak before. I've never heard telepathy before. I've prayed before and heard through the Holy Spirit some things. I am a born again Christian and I do pray. And my wife and I have been heavily involved in church and stuff like that. And we're, ministry leaders and stuff like that. And so, for this to come across, first of all, I was in shock. Didn't know what was going on. Didn't know what was happening. The crazier thing was that I could hear their conversation. So they were looking at each other, talking to each other, and having this conversation with each other. And he was saying, well, his finger's not on the trigger. Sure enough, I started answering then. Look, my finger's not on the trigger. My finger's on the side right here. My finger's not on the trigger. And I said, I'm just looking at y'all. And so they both stopped and looked at me. Now, through all this time, there was some time that went by. And I lost some time there. And I don't know how long it was. It may have been 10, 15 minutes, something like that. A little bit more detail about what I saw was the face on the Sasquatch or forest people, whatever you want to call them, the Bigfoot there. His face was very, very oily, extremely oily. And then the Dogman or Rougarou, whatever you want to call it right there, its head was huge. I mean, it was about probably 1.5 feet, 2 foot total length. And it looked just like a big wolf to me is what it looked like. It had a black snout. It had the gray all around it, the silver. Now, the upper part of the body, I could see it, but I couldn't see really below what you would call the chest area. It had shoulders like a man, but hairy. And its arms and everything looked just built of like an NBA basketball player is what it looked like, And when I seen that, I was just totally in shock. I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, another voice in a different octave said, "Leave now," just like that, like an authoritative voice. And so I was like, okay, I kind of snapped out of it, went and grabbed my backpack, grabbed my rifle, swung open a door of it, and just started leaving out. By this time, it's starting to get dark anyway, so it's getting close to 6:30, and actually sun was going down about 6:30. So I started walking back toward a laydown area, which is where they used to log the area. There was a big open area there, and I started walking toward that area. Now, what's unique about that is I had to parallel them where they were and walk out. And so I began to walk out, but the whole time I was looking over at their area, and I didn't see anything behind me. I didn't see anything over on the side of me, nothing else. I heard anything else, but I could hear what was in that area where they were. There was like more than 2 sets of footsteps. And it sounded like to me there was at least 4. And so they followed me out, got to the edge of the wood line, and I got on my golf cart. So I have a golf cart. It's gasoline. It's jacked up. And I heard my cousin come around in his 4-wheeler. And he just passed me by, which he normally does. He just passed by, and I getting ready to crank up my golf cart. But right before I did, I sat there, and my golf cart was actually pointing toward the woods. And so I just looked in the woods, and I could see the trees and stuff moving around where they were. And they were tall. They're very tall. And I just told them, I said, look, y'all may kill me today, but I said, I promise you this. If you come out of those woods, I'm going to blast y'all. And I said, I'm going to get a couple of y'all. And I said, it's up to you. If you want to die now, you come on out of those woods. And I said, I will blast you. But they stayed inside the woods. They didn't try to harm me or anything. So I cranked up my golf cart and turned around and left out of the woods. And then I went back to my cousin's house. I was staying with him because we live in South Louisiana and I was in North Central Louisiana. And made up an excuse that I was going to leave. I had something come up, I was going to leave. And he looked at me like I was crazy. Why are you leaving? I said, man, we got a couple more days to hunt, I said, no. I said, I got to go. Something come up. So when I got home, I told my wife what happened, and I just immediately packed all my stuff up and left and came home. And I told her, said, something happened. And so first of all, when I walked to the door, she couldn't believe that I was home. She said, what's going on? I said, why are you home? I said, something happened. She goes, what? I said, did you get an argument with somebody? I said, no, nothing like that. And I said, something happened in the woods. And she was like, what? And I told her, I saw something. I said, in fact, I've got a picture. She goes, what? I said, yes. I showed her the picture and everything. And she's like, oh my God. So, after seeing this, it took me.
This is a cell phone?
What's that?
You took a picture with the cell phone?
Yes, this is an iPhone. I took a picture with.
Okay.
That's what this is. So anyways, it took me a while to get over all this stuff, but I want to go back to the previous weekend, and this is what's the kicker about the whole thing. The previous weekend, I was in the same box stand, and I went in there, and I had a muzzle loader. And so it was primitive hunting that weekend. You could either hunt with a bow and arrow or a crossbow down here in in Louisiana, or you can hunt with a muzzle loader. And so
is it the
black powder.
No. The next image, is that one of those box stands, or that's just a shed?
It probably is the box stand I was hunting in. It could be.
Would you
And
want me to
so
show
you can
that?
go, but yeah, if you want to go, no, that's not a box stand. That's my grandmother's house, and that's a totally different story. But
Okay,
anyways,
we'll go back to your picture there. Sorry for the derailing. Keep going. Okay.
oh
Just wanna
no,
make,
no, you're fine. That's good. And so, anyways,
I didn't think it was a box stand. I said, is that about maybe guys down there? You have a different type of box stand. Okay. No, I got
that's a pretty big box stand, yeah.
it.
But
I was just
anyway, and that actually started the very beginning is the next picture, but I'll go into that. But anyways, the weekend before was muzzleloading season, and so I was in the same box stand, and sure enough, I had a deer walk out, and I shot it, and then the smoke after muzzleload was all over the place. You got to wait for it to clear, and I seen it laying there, and it was kicking, so it had passed. It has passed. It died. So I went ahead and reloaded my rifle just in case, and I walked up toward the deer, and all of a sudden the deer just uprights and takes off, and I'm standing there in shock, going, "What in the world?"
yeah.
So immediately I get a phone call on my phone. My cousin said, "Did you get the deer?" I said, "Yeah, I shot the deer." He said, "Where did you kill it?" I said, "Well, it ran off." He said, "Do what?" I said, "Yes, it got up off the ground and ran off." He said, "You make a good shot." I said, "I made a good shot." So I just hung at the phone with him, and I was sitting there, and there's blood all over the ground. There's a pool of blood. So to skip to the chase and everything of what happened was when the deer uprighted, its head was hanging down and his legs were limp. What had happened was one came through and cloaked and picked up my deer and ran off with it. Now I didn't realize this till later on. I mean, like a year later, going over some things with people, and I actually did an interview with the late great Kerry Arnold of Bigfoot Odyssey, and he and I were
Sure.
friends. And I talked to him about what had happened, and he said, "Oh no, Scott," he said, "he took your deer." I said, "Do what?" He said, "Yeah." And so after he told me that, he said, "I've actually shot deer, nice deer, 8, 10 points like that, and got out of this his climber that he had. He walked over toward the deer, and it was gone." He said, "Same thing, blood all over the place." And he said, "When he got there, there was nothing there." And he said, "He didn't." So deer wasn't that far away either. And so this deer was approximately about 65 yards when I shot it. It's about where it was. So I have a rangefinder. I can see all that stuff. But anyways, that's what happened, and that started all my journey of going down what I call the rabbit hole now, and it only gets more and more and more intense. It gets the more you get into this, the more you find out, and the more you're able to pick up on them and see them, and I have all this whole story started. So that's my encounter in 2019. And that's the picture right there. If you want to talk about the picture for a second, I'll be glad to talk about it. Any questions you have?
Me, well, I see more than one entity.
Yes, there is. You're exactly right. If you go through some of the pictures later on, you're going to see some more where I circled them. And that's what I've learned about all this, being this since 2019 and starting the Facebook pages is if you can't see them, circle them. People can pick up on them. That's how I learned some of the things too. And some people taught me some things about that.
Right there, right at the very
Yep.
top, right there. There's a big old monkey-looking one. You can
Yep.
see it
That's a
clear as day.
Bigfoot.
You
If
can
you'll
see it.
go down,
You
yeah,
can
if
see
you'll
it
go
clear
down,
as day. There's the two eyes. The one is
yes, sir.
winking. His
That is it.
mouth. His
That's
nose.
exactly.
And
Yep.
of course,
That is.
what I've discovered is they're moving in this frequency and this vibratory state, this interdimensional state. So it's kind of hard, like for me, when I take my pictures, I always use tripod. But of course, this circumstance is completely different than a controlled circumstance. This is something that's obviously uh, in the moment, right? So
Yes.
you're gonna have your own what's going on with your own shakiness and your own personal movement, and then their movement. So you have to deal with those sort of things.
Yep.
And when you use a tripod, just for anyone in the future, which I've already said numerous times, but if you use a tripod, you will help. It will help minimize a lot of the uh, blob squatch stuff. So,
Yep.
but remember, these things are moving really fast. This one is just fascinating. But you saw it as a dog, man.
No, that right there is a Bigfoot.
Oh, this is the Bigfoot.
That is a Bigfoot. If you look at its face, you can see all the. If you'll go to the green leaves and go up, that's the mouth. Then the nose right above it. Then the eyes.
This is the
Go to the
nose.
green. Go down. Go down a little bit. Go to your right. That is the mouth. Go up a little bit. It's the nose. Straight up the nose. Go up. That's the two eyes right there, straight across from each other. right there, 2 eyes.
Okay. I can
Now,
see that. I can also, it's like, you can almost see like it's moving so fast that you almost see two of them, right? You can see two, but yeah, I listen, you're seeing something. I know you're seeing, I know you filmed something. And it's always dead. A giveaway for me is when there's more than one entity involved. Then we're talking to something that's very legitimate. When you just see one entity, I'm not saying it's always the case. You can't always say that. But for the most part, whenever I've seen, I can honestly say from my own personal experience, when I film one thing, there's usually something else around. So, and it's not pareidolia. What is this right here?
I have no idea what that is. It's something else, but it's cloaking. I call it cloaking.
Sure.
But it is definitely something there. Right there where you got your pointer at, there's something else right there too. Right there's another face. Go up right there. That's a face too. See it? It's pointing toward the left.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely something going right here too.
Yes, sir. No, that right there is definitely a Bigfoot. That's another Bigfoot behind. And that goes to show you them hiding.
And there's something about your boogers down there and your Bigfoot. And I've noticed this now. I've seen this with, especially, down there in Mississippi and Louisiana, that area. You guys got the little different thing going on. Some people call it swamp ape or whatever the heck it is.
Yes.
But I don't know. I've seen images where literally they're like in a whole group and they're all looking the same direction, and they're so blending into the trees anyways, it's your time. I can go on and go on.
No,
but this is a good. The more I look at this image, because I really didn't give it any. We just talked last night, and I've been busy being a dad, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm going.
I love bringing all this out.
This is a really darn good image. Anyways,
it gets better.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does.
I got plenty of stories and plenty of things have happened to me. And what's happened in my life is I never did relate all this stuff. And there's some things when I go into the mind speak part and what they explained to me was it's not about what you believe, it's what you're willing to accept.
Sure.
So that's
I think that's part of this. That is so much part of all this. And if you are, how do we say this without, well, let's put it this way. If you're dead set in being one way, it seems like they will give it to you that way, which is not much of anything. They'll give you maybe a footprint and give you some tree structures. But the moment you realize you're dealing with something that's much bigger than what the official narrative says, and you're willing to accept that, then, oh boy, once they know that the game is on.
It's on.
It's on.
Let's go to the next image. I'm going to show you what's there, so you're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, this is now. First off, this is your grandmother's place.
That was my grandmother's place. So you have to understand that, my grandmother and grandfather grew up very poor, and they lived in basically a log cabin. And what that is it's a log cabin with board and batten boards on the side. What's behind that is just logs. So they have a log cabin, then they come back and they put these batten boards all over, and it's kind of grown up around there. They had done some clear cutting around it, but that's where my grandmother lived. And so this is the story about that. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I love my grandmother. My grandfather passed away when I was only 2, so I really didn't get to know him too well. But anyways, my grandma lived by herself. Her kids had moved away. My mom was her only daughter, and she had 3 sons. And so they had all went in the military, and my mom got married young, and we moved to South Louisiana and stuff. And so she stayed by herself in that house. And so I'd love to go stay with her. So during the holidays, I'd always go stay with her and stuff. And we'd go up there, and she had an old Ringer washing machine and stuff like that. And we'd wash clothes and stuff like that. And then she always had old dogs and stuff. I'd go play with the dogs in the woods. Now, it used to be very, very thick around that house. Okay. Thick woods up there. A lot of pine trees, a lot of oaks and stuff like that. Pin oaks and white oaks and stuff around there. And so she didn't have any air conditioning. She had a well and water and stuff like that. And she basically just lived out in the woods is what it was. Okay. Way back in the woods. And so she, at night, she would leave her windows open unless it was wintertime, and she would close them up. Okay. And anyways, one time it was around Thanksgiving holidays. I went and stayed with her, and I heard this noise walking around, and we went to bed fairly early that night, and she was tired. She had worked all day long, really hard, so she was worn out, and so she went to bed. And in the old house that she had, in the back bedroom, there was a 3x3 window in the back, and they had two metal beds with old mattresses on it. If you know the old metal beds, they have this squeaky springs and everything. Every time you move, they squeak and make noise and all that. And so she was in one bed, and I was in the one next to her. They were probably about 3 foot apart. They had one single window in the back. And anyways, I remember going to bed that night. Both of us were asleep, and I remember waking up and hearing something. So I sit up in the bed, and I told her, I said, Grandma, wake up. There's something outside. She goes, oh, boy, be quiet. That's just a cow outside. At the time, they had open range where cows could walk around. You hear the old cowbell. But I told her, I said, Grandma, I don't hear a cowbell. I don't hear a cowbell. And she said, no, boy, that's probably something just cows walk around. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. So she went back to sleep. I heard her snoring again. And so I looked out the windows, kept my eyes focused on the window. And then all of a sudden I see this huge head come inside the window. If you'll go to the next picture.
Okay, let's do it. I can only imagine what we're going to see.
So that was part of her house there, and that was part of the front porch that she had on the side right there. That was the only porch that she had, okay? Goes to show you how old that house was, and that's the size of the windows and stuff, and it's kind of falling down now. But anyways, that's the old house and what's left of it, okay? And you can go to the next picture. You can see how big the windows are, okay? So it's probably a 3x3 window, something like that, I imagine. It's something that all can guess, it's imagine. But you can see the...
I mean, I'm looking at... Well, there's something there. Okay, you want me to go? There's stuff going on there that I see. Then maybe it's pareidolia, but I don't think so. I think we got some spiritual going on. Anyways,
okay. So this is the only thing I can compare it to. That this face looked very familiar, and when I started doing my research, it hit me, and this image of this face came back to me, and this is what I saw looking inside the and this is not my picture by no means. It's a picture that I gained off the internet. And if I'm not mistaken, this came out of something out of England, out of a museum. And they said it's supposed to be a werewolf head that they cut off. That's the story behind it. But anyways, this is what I saw. The closest thing I could tell you that I saw. And all the thing I can tell you is it looked like something crossed between now, after doing all my research all these years, is something crossed between a Bigfoot and a Dogman, which is the only thing I come up with is a werewolf. And so that's what I saw. If you go to the next picture, you'll see the next one. And they got one more, and you can show those pictures. But anyways, that's what I saw in that. And I screamed bloody murder and jumped into the bed with her and jumped on top of her. But that's not the rest of the story. Not long after that, my mom, back in those days, they had what they call party lines. And the party lines was you had to, if people got on a line, you could try to call in. You couldn't ever get in because the line was always busy. So it took a while for my mom to get in touch with my grandmother, but she never got in touch with her house. And so she finally called her sister-in-law, which was my mom's aunt, and it was a dad's sister. And she said, where's Mom at? And she said, well, she's staying with a cousin. And she said, why is she doing that? She said, well, she don't want to talk about it. And so she said, call her over there. So my mom called her up. And she said, Mom, what happened? She goes, what's going on? Did somebody hurt you or something? Did somebody try to come attack you or something? She goes, no. She said, I just don't want to talk about it. She said, something happened, but I just don't want to talk about it. So come to find out, my grandmother had seen something, and she was scared to go back to her home, or her house where she lived at. So my mom and her brothers, they ended up getting together, and they moved her out of that spot, and the cousins got together. They moved her out of that old house there and moved her to another house that was basically about 10 miles away. And it was a newer house, but an old house like that, but not quite as bad a shape. But anyway, it wasn't quite a log cabin. It was a newer, updated home, and that's where she moved to and got away from that spot. But my grandmother had seen something too, and it shook her up so bad she didn't even want to talk about it. But that's what that is going on right there, and that's what I saw in that window.
So, do you think that she might have saw the same thing, or?
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
Mom told me a story. She said when she was little that her and her little brother was playing, and my grandmother was a caretaker right down the road on the same little gravel road. She was a caretaker of some older people that lived there. and the people were up in age, and they, they were just older and stuff. So she would go down and help them out and stuff like that, take care of them. In the meantime, my mom and her little brother went and played in the woods, but my mom told me that they went to go climb up in a tree, and the tree had some low limbs on it. So they were playing, it was kids and everything was playing up there, but they stopped and they looked, they felt something. Both of them felt something. They looked up in the tree. And when they did, they saw this hairy, what mama said, she didn't know if it was a panther or a bear or what it was, but whatever creature it was black and hairy, real black and hairy, and it looked down at them. And she said it scared them both so bad, but it said it didn't try to attack them or anything. It just watched them. They both ran back toward the house and started screaming, So those things have been in the woods for a long time, but it sounds like that they don't attack unless provoked or something like that,
Yeah, I think so. I think they do more scaring than actually physically harming people, but
Right.
from what I can tell, but if that is a work of art, like
Somebody made something.
I would just say that they did a hell of a good job.
I think
And
so too.
if it's real, now I can understand why people become terrified.
Yes.
Should we go to the next one?
Oh, sure. I think sometimes things happen to us, and things happen to us, and sometimes we're able to, something that horrific happens in your life that you block it out, and you don't want to go back and relive it. I think for a long time, I just a young boy got busy with life and everything, and just forgot about that, and
Yeah.
blocked it out.
Sometimes I wonder if they have the ability somehow to not. We'll see. We call it cloaking, but what if it's somehow they just kind of interfere with the spectrum of light and frequency to hide the face? Because I think that, I have seen so many images that don't add up to whatever, like all the artists out there, the endless paintings and drawings that suppose what Bigfoot looks like. And then the stuff that I film and what I've seen about, none of it looks the way that the average artist, it's not like this Harry Henderson, or they don't look like that.
No.
At all. Not even close. From what I'm seeing, from what I've seen, and the video or images that I've observed, they don't look anything like it. So sometimes I wonder if we're doing ourselves much even more disservice by trying to tame the images down. You know what I mean? I wonder, say 2 generations go down there where you're at, if people were so used to that, they just lived with it like it was, like, whatever, a cat or a bear or a deer.
Yeah.
It was just part of the scenery, and then you just get used to it, but we've been so disconnected from a lot of the spiritual realm and the physical realm that's around us, that when we do see this stuff, it's cognitive dissonance kicks in, and fear and dread, because we're not used to, these images are what we've seen in horror movies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but I can tell you this right now, that yes, a lot of people seen them back then. They didn't want to talk about them. They were told not to talk about them. They were told not to talk about the experiences. And I can tell you that's in my family. So, you were told to hush up and don't even talk about that kind of stuff, because they put you in a crazy house and you face whatever's coming at you. So,
plus, a lot of people
as
feel
far
that
as
you're inviting trouble by talking too much about these things. You're inviting trouble yourself. So, in other words, there's a belief that if you're talking about this stuff, then, and well, you and I know this. When we said it earlier, I say it all the time. When they know that the game is on, you start talking about, like, a lot of Indian folklore and tradition says, don't even mention these names. Don't even talk about them. Just recognize they're there and move on. And there's maybe some good reason for it. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so that is 2017. We were cleaning our hunting lease, and we had made some trails, going to and from the national forest and stuff like that. And it gotten pretty thick in there, so we were cleaning some thickets up and stuff like that. And then I came across one footprint in the pine straw, and it was pretty deep. That's about 3 inches deep in the pine straw. Now I put my foot on the side up and started jumping up and down on it. And I went and got one of my cousins. And what's funny is I brought him over and I said, look at this one footprint. He looked at it and he's kind of like, where's the other footprint? I said, I don't know. I only see one. I said, that's pretty. I said, what in the world can make something so heavy? So that was 2017, okay?
Okay.
And then my sighting didn't. Now, some things happened between 2017 and 2019. And so I started doing a lot of research between then that I actually had a sighting in 2019, you know. But anyways, that's the one single footprint that I got. And I circled it so people could see it, you know. And I find that it helps people to see it. But if you're looking at that right there, put your pointer right, go back to the left a little bit. That's the big toe. Go to the other side, keep going. That's where the rest of the toes are. And that's it. And so that's what you're looking at is a footprint, a pretty big one too. So, and it's deep. I mean, really deep. That was 3 inches in a pine straw. And I jumped up. I weighed 225, and I couldn't even push the pine straw down where it stayed down like that. It actually stayed like that. It was crazy. It stayed like that through the hunting season. I went back around, never disturbed it. Nobody else fooled with it because they didn't know it was there, you know. I went back and looked at it a bunch of times, and it stayed there until the weather changed a few times, you know. And then I don't know if it's still there now. I just left it. Didn't even touch it, you know.
So, yeah.
So that's what that is. Let's see what the next picture is we can talk about. We'll go to the next picture. And that's the original picture that you have. And if you can zoom in on it a little bit, you'll see more detail and stuff. That's the original picture that I took. And if you stop right there, take your pointer and go up now from where you are. Well, go right there. Stop. Go down. Go down a little bit. Right there's a second dog man. See the gray image? Zoom in some more, and you're going to go over to the right below the dog man that you can see clear. So let's just focus on the right-hand side now, and there's another one. Go right there. There's a snout right there. There's a second dog man. It's great. Totally great. Big one, too. It's bigger than the one behind it. See the big snout and everything on it? That's a big gray one right there.
I definitely see. I mean, now, you know, the only thing I would say is, and I'm not saying it's not a dog man, but, you know, it's something there that's pretty wild looking, whatever it is. It could be a dog man. It could be a pig man. I don't know what the heck. You know, if you call them dog, you know, they don't look like your traditional dog. If anything, they look like you got, you know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to get at is that there's never two looks the same. And I mean, what I'm seeing here is more than just like, okay, so there's one looking forward right here, right? This is the one we're talking about, right? Yep. And then there's right behind, there's one right there. The proof looks like a profile. At least that's an eye right there.
Uh-huh.
Now I might be wrong, and you know, pareidolia things start to happen, but
so let me explain that to you a little bit. What's going on there is it's a dog man, but it's in between cloaking and coming into visibility. So it's cloaking. It's trying to cloak. It's trying to get where I can't see it. So it's going back and forth between dimensions.
Yeah, it looks like a big boar hog head is or it just you know, one other thing too is a lot of these they're like a bear and a dog crossing. Yeah, that happens a lot. And that's from Christy Price. And by the way, thank you, Christy, and everyone, and Sheldon, everyone's chiming in. Yeah, I mean, listen, I film these dang things, and I have not yet found two that look the same. Never.
Yeah.
And anyways, I'm sorry. I played dad all weekend. I had my son, and I'm just like, I'm in a trance right now. I'm decompressing, and I'm in this trance. I'm looking at these images, and I'm just like, my gosh, what the heck's going on down there?
A lot.
Heck yeah.
So I think the more you look at this picture, you go to the left, you're going to see some more stuff. But I that's my original picture, and there's a lot going on in that picture. I had a lot walk up on me that day, and I was very lucky just to get out of there alive. But they didn't want to harm me, and they haven't harmed me since, to be honest with you. And so there's going to be more. If you keep looking at that picture, you'll see a lot more.
Oh yeah,
you know, and I people, and And once you put them up, they're become publicly, So I mean, they're anybody's picture after that. But go research it, look and see what all's in there. Yeah, I've never
Well,
tried.
the thing is, once people realize they can, like, I don't know if Damon's still here, but there's a guy from like England. He's filming this stuff in his woods,
Damn,
in his woods. I mean, in his town, his wood, not a place where anyone hunts or anything. I fit in the middle of my town. I mean, people film this stuff everywhere. So there's, if you want to find your own community of local spirits and entities and beings and Bigfoots and Sasquatch, you can do it yourself. Really, you can find it yourself. You can have your own, So,
Yep. So go to the next picture and see what we got next. Now we'll talk about that one. See what you got there. That's basically
that's the same one again. It's just a little closer.
So so what it's doing is you can see it squatting down. The two knees are, if you go down a little bit, and then what you're going to find is all the way to the left. That is a knee going up and down right there. Go up a little bit more from keep going up a little bit more. Right there's a knee. Go down. Right there's the top of the knee. Go all the way down. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Go down some more. Go down some more. That's the bottom of the foot right there. So that goes to show you how long the leg is there. So it's squatting
now,
down.
when you saw it, did you see it squatting down yourself? Did you actually see?
Oh,
did you
yes.
see? You did.
I seen it squatting down. It basically had his rear end on the back, on the ground, and his legs. It was just squatting like people do in India or something like that, I don't sit like that, but other people do.
Yeah.
So this is many like Americans squatting like that, but we just don't do that in our country. But other people do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the next picture, let's see what they got on next. But that's pretty good. You can sit there and digest on that one a while. But that's it squatting down. You look at the whole thing. If somebody's able to,
Well, how big do you think this thing was?
Every bit of 9 foot.
Well, at least. Well, how big, how tall do you think it was when it squatted down? Let's put it that way. Because
at least 6 foot squatted down, at least. I estimated the Bigfoot was a little bit taller, so I estimated the Bigfoot to be about 7, something like that.
How close was this to you?
Oh, let's see, probably about 35 yards, 30 yards, 35 yards. I have
a
range.
35 years is nothing. That's absolutely nothing. I'm just thinking because I'm thinking. This is out in the woods. It's all by yourself, right? I'm thinking of what I'm thinking for myself. What because I've had. I'm confident that I've had at least 12.5 sightings.
Yeah.
During the day, but no, I've only had 2 encounters that were extreme, that were really in my face, like within 15 feet. Right. One was in the evening, like around 5:30. Another one is just when it turned dark. I'm trying to think how I would respond if I was looking at something 35 feet yards away from me in the woods. I'm just thinking of how I would respond to that.
Yeah, probably like me.
I don't know. I don't know if I would wet my pants or not, man. I know one thing. It's a weird looking thing, and you see how easy these things could blend in so well into the environment, and you wouldn't even know you're looking at them.
So here's another thing that I left out. That's kind of key to that whole experience was whenever I saw the Bigfoot, it was actually emitting a emotion toward me, and the emotion was love, peace, joy, calm. I was very relaxed, almost just like just in a euphoria state. But then when I put the gun on the Dogman, it emitted fear like I'd never felt before. The type of fear that like when you start shaking when you're really, really cold. You got cold, you start shaking. You ever been there before? I'm sure you have because you live in the north. That's what it did. So look, let me explain something to you. I went. As all of a sudden the Bigfoot forest person actually took over my emotion from it. And said, no, don't be scared. Everything's going to be okay. Basically, we're not here to hurt you. And I said, well, he just threatened me, he's threatened to come and kill me. He said, no, he's not going to bother you. He's going to leave you alone. So, I try to leave all those details. Sometimes I leave those details out because, people, it's far-fetched and people don't want to believe all that stuff. So I'll leave it out. But I'll go ahead and tell you what it did. So that's what happened. And so I was able to get my composure together. Now I was in shock, but at the same time, I was able to get my composure together, grab my bag, grab my 30-06 and walk toward my golf cart and drive away, you know? So
Yeah,
they have a way to control your emotions too.
I
They
think
can
they
zap
do.
you, control that. They can make you sick as a dog if they hit you, if you get too close to the certain areas, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, go to the next picture. Let me see what we got on the next one. I got some good pictures in there, so we go with some more.
If you guys got
So
any questions for Scott, let us know, and I'll try to make sure he hears it. And also later on, we'll say maybe in I don't know, whenever that we get down to the stories, or get towards the end. If anybody wants to join us, please join us. I'll leave a link in a few minutes, and you can just join us. So, got questions? Got your own story. So,
yep.
all right, here
So,
we go. We got a
so here's
lot going
another
on
one.
here.
So here's another one. You can look at the circles. And so what happened? I was in a certain area and I took pictures. And this is when I first got started and everything. And so I started trying to make friends with people out in the community and stuff. And you find out really quick who knows what and who don't know stuff, you know. And so you start find out, okay, have you had this experience? Did this ever happen to you? Yeah. And so you start looking at people when they start identifying these things and they start pulling the images out. Then I start sending my pictures to them and said, "Hey, would you mind helping me? I just had a sighting and this is going on." And there were a lot of people in the community that actually helped me out a lot, and they helped me out a whole lot. And so I got to give perks to those people that helped me out. And what's funny is majority of them were women, and so they were able to pick them out very, very well. And so I sent those pictures to them, and they sent them back to me and said, "This is what you got, Scotty." So I'm like, "What?" They said, "Oh yeah, all this is in those pictures." Now some of them I have no idea what's in those pictures. I mean, it's just what's there, you know. And I circled some stuff in yellow and put arrows on it. Other people put them on there, and then some people.
Do you have the image without all the circles and the dots?
I do, but I don't know where it's at. I just kept that image because the other image didn't mean anything to me. It was just there's a
Okay.
lot more going on than that. Okay, I'm only interested in what's there.
This
You know,
one, this one's there's. Yeah, I understand. And
so I mean, you got something there that looks like a cat. You got some looks like some other stuff, and I've heard of all these things. Once you start getting down this rabbit hole, you're gonna find out there's a lot of things, a lot of. I think people used to
that
call
one,
them.
do you see what I see? Okay, there's two eyes right here. There's a pushed in nose and teeth
Yep,
and a grin.
yep, yep.
Is there
I've already.
a growl? What's front grin?
Yeah, it's kind of like growling at you. Stop your imager right there, your pointer, right there where
Uh-huh.
you are. Move to your left just a hair.
This way?
Move. Go back the other way. Go back the other right. Your other right. Well, go back to the left now. In between those circles right there, the two red circles, there's another face right there. All you see is a nose and a mouth and an eye. Go back. Go back. Come back down. Right. You're on it now. Go back up. Go above that one. Right above that one you just looked at. Go left with your pointer. Go left. Keep going left.
Okay.
Stop. Right there. That's it. You're on it. What do you think about that picture? It's got a big old nose right there in the mouth and an eye. I mean, that's
Well,
the image right there.
one of the things you're dealing with all the chaos to find the face. You know what I mean? So
Well,
you've
I'm
seen it
pretty
already.
decent at it now because I've got a lot of experience and I've been doing it since 2019.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
And so I can pick them up pretty fast now. You know, I don't even have to have them magnified anymore. And to me, it's what's there. And I've seen so many weird faces that I don't know what you call them. I have no idea what to call them. I just know that they're spiritual beings and they're able to go from one entity to another. You know, I mean,
Well, this, you know, what I'm thinking, I'm really very convinced of this point is that I mean, look at that. This is a perfect example. You got a head right there.
yep.
You got a head right there. I
That is
mean, you can
another
see it. You can see it's clear as day. And
yes.
they're massed up together. And there's a guy right here,
Yep.
right here.
Yep.
And
What is that? I mean, I
oh,
have
there's
no
one
idea.
right here. There's a guy right here. And I don't think these. I would not. Mr. Michael Adams says, yeah, I would not consider them Bigfoot.
They're not afraid.
This is one of my issues with the community and people. And we talked about this before the show and how this kind of mass formation and where we hold on. Somebody starts a narrative and we're afraid to contradict it or challenge it because we don't want to deal with the conflict, right? And so we carry it on. But what I'm trying to say to you and everyone is that we're dealing with multiple entities here.
Yes.
Multiple entities. And a lot of times we're assuming that it's a Bigfoot or even a Dogman. And no, well, these things are multiple. We're dealing with, I consider it's like just as it's diverse as in the light, as far as the physical, flesh and blood realm, right? With all the different types of like fish and insects and birds and mammals and on it goes. There's just as much, if not more, in this. When I consider it as there's a parallel universe, several of them running along side by side with us.
Yeah.
And this is something that even serious researchers, when it comes to physics, quantum physics, whatever, is that but the thing is, we've been told this for generations, but we just lost that knowledge, the truth, or it's been hidden from us because we're not taught this in the public school system and Western education anymore. But this was universally understood in all cultures. And I don't even have to make this up. I'm not making this up. This is just well-established historical fact that all cultures recognize there are multiple spiritual entities and other ones that were able to come in and out of the physical realm. So when you look at these things and you look real close, if you pay attention, they're really not that big. Some are only as big, their heads are only as big as a leaf. Right? Others is massive, like you said, a Dogman that's freaking most likely 9 feet tall. And it's a multiple things going on. So, a reason I bring this up is because I think that as a group, we get so narrow in our focus. We're just focused on Bigfoot and Dogman, right? When there's all this other stuff going on, you know what I mean? And if you open up your eyes to it, you'll realize there's all these different entities. And so what, film a Dogman or Bigfoot when you got your research. Every time once I opened up my eyes, I found all sorts of things. There's nothing, you know what I mean? And then that kind of changes everything to how your perspective is, you know what I mean? Because like, okay, there's more going on here. Yeah. And I still survived, and I'm still in one piece. And this is we go back, we're talking about demons. When I first started this, I thought everything was a demon because I didn't know what the hell I was doing and no one was telling me the truth about it. I had to figure out a lot of this on my own because no one was being honest with me.
Right.
No one. And I think part of it was they didn't know themselves what the heck they were doing. And the other part was a lot of people were holding the truth from all the rest of us. It's like some kind of, special powers or knowledge, The thing is, holding the truth from what's really going on, I see there's like the karma in a way, you know what I mean? But people holding the truth, keeping it from everybody else, it will come back to bite you in the butt. And you know what? So you have all these people and they're running around, acting like I'm getting off topic. You go for it. I can go. I mean, listen, anybody that knows me knows I can go for hours about this stuff. And my rants will go for hours.
Zoom back on the biggest circle that's there. Go back up, go up a little bit. There's your Bigfoot. What I want to point out is the two biggest circles that are there are basically a Bigfoot and a Dogman right next to it. But it's an ugly Dogman. It's like that thing next to it is a Dogman. But it's more like a bulldog. So me and my perspective on all this, the forest people are the head knockers there, okay? And the rest of everything else just kind of comes along with it. So they're like, whatever they say goes in the woods.
So, Scott, this would be the eye and this would be is this the nose?
Yes, sir. Go down.
And this is the crown or the head?
I don't know about that part, but I can only tell you what I see. Okay, go back to where the two dots are. There's two eyes. Go back. That's an
Yes.
eye and an eye. Go back
Yes.
down a
Yes.
little bit. The next part is the nose, the shiny part. Shiny part's the
And he's,
nose. Go
and
down
he's got
below
like a
that.
white. He's got a white mustache, and then he's got the mouth.
Yeah, you go down. The next part is the mouth below that. That's the mouth, and there's your whole face. So understand that whenever you see these images, they have the capability just showing just the outline of their face and stuff. They're not going to show you everything.
I think he's got like
That's
a.
what
I
you're.
think he might have even have a fang to him.
I don't know. Maybe so. I don't know. It's
I'm not trying to ruin your. I'm.
Oh no, you're fine. I mean, I
You know,
just look out.
if
Okay, it's there.
we talked about this as well about the fact that everyone perceives things differently.
Yes.
Everyone, there's not a person, no two people are ever going to see the same thing. Just always
Yeah.
remember when we're dealing with this
Now
stuff, the scenario or the parable of the car accident, right? In which
Yep.
you'll have a dozen people all witnessing the same car accident and seeing something different. And I think they take advantage of this. I think they know our weaknesses, and part of our weaknesses is that we
Right.
see everything differently in such a way.
Yeah.
So in this one right here,
I got fangs on it. That one has fangs on it. You can see the fangs clearly on that one. So I mean, what are they
is
doing?
this
They're
right
trying to
here?
show
The
their
fang?
fangs.
Is it the chief right
Yeah,
here?
the fangs will go up a little bit. Okay, go up just a hair. Right there's a fang. Then you got fangs on the other side, and so that's part of the fangs right there. Yeah, I mean it's stuff all in that picture. I mean, if you want to take it and blow it up and look at it, there's all kind of stuff in there, and that's what people say. Oh, it's pareidolia, but actually it's not. I mean, it's the thing of it is if you can feel them, you can actually feel them there. The yellow circle that's there is something weird. I don't even know what that thing is right there. I don't know if that looks almost like a lizard or what that thing is there. I mean, it's kind of turned sideways. Its head's
Kind of
turned sideways.
like a dragon. It's a
I
dragon
have
with.
no idea. I don't know. I mean,
That's what reminds me of what you ask. Is like at first glance. I mean, I'm not saying it's a dragon. It just reminds me of a dragon. So.
yeah, some kind of reptilian type creature. So, yeah, we'll go to if you don't mind going to the next picture. Let's see what we got on that one because
One more thing, though. I want to say this because I want to point this out. If you look at this entity here, this I wish if you look this, here's the hand. You can see the fingers on it. You can see
Yes,
the
sir.
arm running out. You can see the other hand that's coming out here, and it's like now how it's like it is like a wolf or a dog type of thing, okay?
Yep.
And it looks like it's like lurching forwards. Now, how does that doing that in the physical realm? It, it has to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Can you see what I'm saying? I mean, I can see as clear day. I mean, I've seen freaking things with like ram's heads and everything.
Claws on it.
But you can see right here. You go. If you guys can see that, there's the arm. There's the arm with you can see his hands. Think of a dog jumping, like lurching, crazy, pretty cool stuff. I see a dog man at the top. Let's see which shells. I see it at the top left corner. Okay. And we'll see what else. Captain Caveman. All right, there's Captain Caveman to come on my show. He says he's shy, but you don't know anything about being shy. I used to be the shyest person in town. I had one of the reasons I started doing this back like 10 years ago was to confront my fear of other people and being shy. I've done like, I don't know, maybe hundreds of interviews and stuff like that. But so anyways, okay, back to you.
Let's go to the next picture, see what we got on that one. So I got lights and pictures. Okay, so after dealing with all this, the mind speaking everything, I started praying and stuff, and I'm a born again Christian, so I said, this is really hard. And how can I comprehend all this stuff and accept this stuff? It's hard for me to comprehend. Where they told me, they mind spoke to me and told me this. They said, it's not what you believe, it's what you're willing to accept. And then this verse came up. And if you can read that verse, go ahead and read it out loud and see what it means to you.
You want me to?
Sure.
Colossians 1:16-17, King James Version. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are and earth, visible
Okay.
and
Picture right
invisible.
there. He made everything in the heavens and he made everything in the earth. Okay.
Yep.
So that tells you right away. It tells you something right away, Mike, that look, he made things that are out there beyond the earth. Okay. So there again, if people want to try to say there's nothing out there, that there's no such thing as UFOs and all these things, and I'm going to get into something later on that's going to blow your mind. But anyways, it goes to show you that God made everything in the heavens and he made everything on earth. So we're not the only ones here. Okay. So keep going.
Yeah. So he made that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible.
Okay. So that goes to show you right there, cloaking and not cloaking.
Right. Oh yeah. And even maybe more than that, than cloaking, not cloaking, right? And whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers.
Okay. So that tells you right there that there's a lot of different levels of power that are out there that we don't even comprehend. Okay.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we think we got government powers and stuff here. No, you got way more powers than what are here on earth that are out there that's beyond what's here on earth. Okay. Keep going.
All things were created by him and for him.
Okay. So God's over all things, and his son, Jesus, is over all that.
And he is before all things, and by him all things consist.
Okay.
Amen.
So there you go.
I can accept that.
So I've
Absolutely.
done it. Right there is proof in the Bible. People read over these verses in the Bible and they read through it and they go through every Sunday. They go through Sunday night, they go to church, and they go to Wednesday night, but they don't read the Bible like it's supposed to be read. And so there again, I read this verse for years until it finally hit me and I seen something. And when I seen something, all this came to life. And that's what came from that verse.
Yeah, you see a lot. Once you realize the stuff that we realize, once you experience and have a experience, encounter, it's inevitable that the Bible's going to, when you read, it's going to change because you have new eyes. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yep.
before, you're just reading just words on a page and you're trying to visualize it, to intellectualize it, to rationalize it. But once you start having spiritual experiences, you start to realize that, this book is far from what the organized religion, for the most part, is sharing. So
it's way more than a history book. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So look at this picture right here, and you.
Oh, I am looking. I can see it all right. So this is even better. This was the same, but it's better. I can see. Okay. So that's the one. There's the one you pointed out, Dogman.
Yep.
And then we got one going there. And which one? What do you see here?
Okay, and then there should be another one circled above it that you showed. You showed me, but I'd already picked it out and said, "Yep, it's there," because I've already seen that one too. So it's actually there were when I told you I heard four entities follow me out of the woods. There's your four. There was probably more than that, but those were the biggest ones. That's what followed me out of the woods that day. Like I said, I told them come out of the woods and I'm gonna start blasting with a 30-06. So I said, and they stayed in the woods. So there's more in that picture, but those were the biggest.
I wonder sometimes if we are dealing with multidimensional beings and spirits, and when you do that, when you can threaten them physically and they step back, is it really because they're afraid of being hurt or killed, or is it because they're afraid of being exposed for what they really are? Do you ever think about that?
Let me say this. After my knowledge of having the knowledge I have now, it's really hard to kill them. They can be killed in the physical state, but that's not their intention. They don't want to be killed. They don't want to be shot at. They're just trying to make a relationship with you. And so here's the thing. We got to quit walking in fear of these things and quit threatening them, because I find in different parts of the United States, there are some that just walk freely and don't have no issues, and there's other ones being shot at all the time and trying to be killed and all that stuff, and they're getting violent, So what's the next picture you got? Let's see what you got next.
What am I doing wrong here? Okay, I was hitting the wrong button. Okay. Oh, this is a very interesting image. Yes. Okay,
so let me
tell us about this. To give us the story, the back story behind this.
So I was going into my hunting lease, and there's all of a sudden there's this oak tree that's a pin. It's pinned over. Okay, it's been snapped but not broken. It's just been snapped over, like you take a twig and snap it, and goes across the trail. So I walk up there and I take the picture of it. I said, it's kind of weird. And I look at it and I said, okay, what do you see in this picture? So, Mike, what all do you see in this picture?
I see a tree break, a tree lean, an
Yep.
X. From just first glance, I haven't really spent any time looking at it. When I say
Yep.
interested, because I find whatever's going on here very interesting.
Yes.
So, but I see your
What they
typical
did,
tree break leading to a typical. So, anyways, I saw pointed. So this is a typical
Yep.
tree break, and you can see it is still even got the green foliage on it. There's an X structure right there and a tree line. So,
Yes, sir. So back up a little bit. I'm going to show you something else that's going to blow your mind. Back out. Now, here you go. Whether you choose to believe or what you don't believe. So I started looking at it and started mind speaking to me. He said, what I see? So I see the trees broken out. I see some things in the background way back there. I said, yep, all that's there. And they said, what else do you see? And all of a sudden they tell me, he said, look at the road. I said, do what? They said, yeah, look at the road. There's male footprints on the left and there's female footprints on the right. And so what they said was the male walked up, went into the woods on the left, walked over, snapped a tree, and the mama went forward and went into the woods on the right. Those big things you see in the pine straw, they said, well, that's just stuff from rain and all that. Nope, that's not. That is actually footprints there that were made before, and whenever it rained, they stopped and made those images. Can you see the footprints? There you go, right there. Back up a little bit. That's a male on the left that you just pointed at, and then go to the right. Yeah, that's them. What I don't go that far. They go. That's the big footprint to the left is one, and then to the right you can see the curvature of the foot, and that's the one on the right there. Go to the very first one you see at the very bottom on the right there. That's a female, okay, and she's walking forward. She goes into the woods right there on the right, and then if you back out, you'll see.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see the footprint. You can see the heel. You can see the toes.
Yes, sir. That's the female. So what they told me was they had a male on one side and a female on the other. And if you look really, really close, you can see some little ones in the middle, but it's kind of hard to see that. So I just kind of leave that out. But there's little ones in the middle there too, little bitty ones. And so that's somewhere in there you'll see them. And it's hard for you to see them. They're actually some very, very, you have to take time later on to look at them. They're very, very small footprints in the middle. And that goes to show you that they're a family unit. Yep, all up in there. So
here's have you do you know of anybody down there who's actually seen these guys do this tree breaks? Have they seen it? Has anybody seen Bigfoot do this? I'm not saying that they haven't done it. I'm asking you, do you know anybody that's actually seen them do it?
I have not seen it, but I heard them do it.
I've heard them too. I've heard something. I heard something
right now. It's probably as loud as a 10 gauge going off because I'm a hunter and it's loud. Bow! You know, when it goes off, when it does it, it's very, very loud.
Sure.
So, I mean, I've never seen it, but I've actually.
I'm going to bring up something too that we've learned. It's been following me and I don't do this, but I'm studying, what's going on. But people that have outer body experiences, right? When they have outer body experiences, and they deliberately, do it themselves. So they're deliberately having out of body experience. There's times they mention where that same thing when their soul is separating from the body, they'll hear this huge pow explosion too.
Yep.
Now just think about what I'm saying, and I will not back down to the fact that I've seen these dying things come out of trees, not around trees, not of a hole. They actually came out of the trees like they're, and I'm wondering is somehow, some way, it's almost very similar. Give this, just give it a chance. You don't have to accept it or not, but just listen to this. What if they actually, as the Indian said, there actually are tree apes or tree spirits? They actually live in the trees, and there's certain times when, for whatever, when the conditions are right or whenever they want to, they can literally just basically come out of them like people do when they astral project or when they have deliberate out of body experiences. So they're having a deliberate out of body experience for them, which is the tree. That's the physical entity that life force they live off of, and that cow comes out, because I'm just bringing it up. I'm not saying it's right, but no one's ever. I don't know anybody's actually seen our beloved Bigfoot and Dogman, or definitely Bigfoot, actually do a tree break, do a tree knock. No one's ever
I've heard.
seen them physically
Yeah.
build the teepee structures and everything that I know of. Do you know anybody's actually seen any of that stuff? Because that's a person I want to talk to, don't you? I mean, you want to like pick their brain for sure.
I'm to the point now where I quit asking for things, and they just show me they do it. So I'm at that point right now. So a lot of things have happened.
Have you actually seen them do that yourself? Which is cool, man. I'm not saying you
Yeah,
not.
it's
No.
cool. I mean, do I need to see that? I don't know if I need to see it, but I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to see it. But I mean, I already know their strength. I know what they can do, what they're capable of. They can leave one dimension and come to another dimension. They can follow you home. I got other pictures. If we go to other pictures, you're going to see where I've got one right beside my house. Now, how did they go from North Louisiana to South Louisiana 3 hours away? You know. So keep going to the next picture.
Well, wait a minute, before we go, what's this yellow stuff right here? Is it just a mark?
Oh, that's an arrow pointing at it. That's what I used. I pointed at it. The
Oh,
yellow
just
stuff
for
is
that right there. Okay, I just wondered if there
right.
was something else going on around here.
Correct. Yep. So that's what
Okay.
that is. So there's a lot more going on in the pictures. There's actually some standing in the back there, but it's hard to see. But if you're
Right
really
here?
good, you can. Well, they're up in the woods in there, but if you pull them up, you can look at them and see. Because I got more pictures to look at, you know, that we have there. But yeah, they're in there. They're in there. And so you just got to look at it really close, and then you can see them.
Okay.
But they're
This
so,
picture is so this one or the next one is this one mine. It's really good.
okay.
This picture, you can see how lucent they are, or people want to say, you know, cloaking or whatever works.
So,
You know.
let me tell you the story behind this. So 2017, I seen the footprint, so I started reaching out to different people, talking to them about different things, and I started reading books. Really started reading a lot of books. Anybody had a book, I started reading. So I mean, I started reading all kind of people's books, and I started friend requesting everybody because I wanted to find out about this stuff, what it was all about. So one of the guys I reached out to, one of the books I bought first was Jack Kawani Lapsaritis. So I bought his books, read them, started reading them and everything, and then
Did you like it? Did you hear so much about it? Did you get a lot out of it?
yes, I did a lot,
Okay.
a whole lot. The next person was Dr. Matthew Johnson. He had experiences. I bought both of his books, went to his website, bought his books, read them, underlined everything that was going on, what was happening with me. And so then I put this to a test. So let me just tell you something. Everything that happens to me, I put it to a test to see if it's real or not, you know?
Sure.
So in 2020, I was there and was at the same area hunting. By this time, they had cleared our hunting lease. So they came through, and that's why it looks like it's clear cut. It was. They actually came through all the land on our land there they had that we leased. They cut it all down. And there's a story behind that too. But anyways, I started saying, I say, okay, if y'all are the Janu, which he says they call the Janu, I said, if you're a Janu, could you please show yourself to me? Well, these silhouettes started coming up, and I mean I was like, oh my God. Then they actually told me to take a picture. I started taking pictures. Now,
So you started seeing the silhouette. You personally saw with your own eyes the silhouettes manifesting.
Yes.
The foliage of the trees. I've had that experience.
And they take the pictures, which a lot of people never had that happen. They said, "Man, they don't tell me." I said, "Well, you know, they seen my progression. They showed themselves to me. They showed me the footprint. They started making noises in the woods. They run past me. I've smelt them in the woods. You know, if you get too close, they put off a really, really nasty dead smell of different things. You know, so." This is one of the things they manifested and showed me.
Sure.
So if you go to the next page, you're going to see another one.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you saying? Are we looking at a entity or multiple entities?
There's actually multiple entities in this picture, but that's one big face that came forward. And that is the face of what I would call how can I say, a legendary one, like an old ancient one. And that's what it did. It put its face forward to me. It would be a giant.
I would call it. You would call it a giant. You would
call that a giant is what that would be. It would be a giant, and so that is actually the face of a giant. but I believe it is a sea tunga. It's a
Say
sea
that
tunga
again.
or a Bigfoot.
Okay. Legit, but a massive, an old one that was. How tall you think it was?
Oh, I don't know. That thing was huge.
Yeah,
that
right.
that right there was probably just the face itself was probably 15 feet tall. Now I'm way back. I'm probably 65 yards from that one right there. Easy. 65, 70 yards, something like that.
Let's just sit back a little look at it.
Yep. So that's,
So, if I'm looking at this correctly, is this one eye right here?
yes, sir.
And is there an eye right here?
Yep.
And is this the nose?
Yep.
And is this the mouth?
Yep.
And that's the forehead. And this the brows?
Yes, that's a brow right there. So you're looking at the face of a giant, an ancient, what they call an ancient one. That's cool.
Yeah. We're not leaving this yet. Come on, man.
You want to study this one now? Okay, I'm gonna give you more detail about the picture if you want to stay on this one for a while. So if you go to the base of the tree, see the pine tree to the left.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that would be your other left.
Okay.
The right. I'm sorry, the right.
So it's just,
My
okay.
bad. So, anyways, you go down to the base. Go down to the base of it. Okay, what do you see right there? A black figure. What is that?
Reminds me of a man, like an alien, some kind of. Well, it looks an astronaut or something, right?
No,
I
that's a
mean,
Bigfoot. That's actually a
well,
Bigfoot.
is it his arms?
Yep, it's right. It come out and showed himself to me, right there. But you see how they put off a high vibration and you can't see them that clear. People want clear pictures of them.
Is he have his mouth wide open? Is that what he's doing?
I don't know what that is. I don't know exactly, but it came out when I asked that. When I asked that question, a lot of things went on. They started silhouetting. Then this one jumped out when I took the picture, and it walked
Yeah, I
back
just,
into it.
do you guys? I'm going to ask you. I ask everybody this and bring it up. Do you guys ever? Can you work together and financially get yourself a used like P900? Because I got to tell you something, you would get such crisper and more profound images, and you can get one now used for like $300, refurbished. And so I'm just going to bring it up because the reason I'm going to bring it up is this: is not because it's not a good picture; it's a fantastic picture. But if it was with a higher caliber camera, can you imagine the detail you could have had there? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you lose the pixelization, because of pixelization and everything. Because of a phone can only do so much. I mean, I filmed a lot of wonderful
yeah.
images, but the moment I switched over to P900, it's like, oh my gosh, I can just like the
Well,
detail just stood out. Like I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually see the
let
stuff.
me let me go over something with you first. All this didn't pick up until 2019. Okay, and that was only a couple years ago. The next thing is, do I plan on going and doing Bigfoot conferences and all that? Probably not. I mean, I've seen what they talk about. I've probably seen more. I'm gonna say this here, and people gonna get mad at me. I don't care. I've seen more than what they talk about at Bigfoot conferences. I've talked to people at
Oh
Bigfoot.
yeah, absolutely.
So let
I
me
won't
ask
go
you
to
this
one
question.
either.
Why would I go and spend my hard-earned money and pay them $250 to go to a conference to sit around a table with people talk about stuff, and do the VIP package when I've got sometimes better pictures than them?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
I've got better experiences than them. Why am I going to go to a conference and do that? I'm not going to pay my hard-earned money that I work for to go do all
Well,
that.
this just comes back to the whole thing about them being so
You know,
myopic
and
and narrow-minded and only in
people say,
one.
well, once you go to a conference, I don't need to go over to conference. Every time I go in the woods, they do something.
Yeah, I have no desire to go to a conference either. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it's like I bought so many books now that I got a whole library of books. Okay, and I'm to the point now to where I've had so many experiences that they're even hard for me to comprehend. How can you comprehend them coming inside your house? How can you comprehend them walking
Yeah,
outside your? And I live in a neighborhood. Okay, how can you
yeah,
comprehend? So I mean, all these other people are going to talk about DNA. They're going to talk about other stuff. Look, I'm not going to go over there and rub arms with them. I've already done that too. Hard to believe, but yes, I've had one rub up the next to me. So I mean, I've had them push me at night in my bed. So I mean, come on, I mean, how deep y'all want to go down the rabbit hole with this thing? I mean, since 2019, I've literally had all kinds of crazy things happen. I mean, me and my wife had them come inside of our house. We had little streaks run by us. I'm like, what in the world is that? And come to
yeah.
find out, it's them inside the house. And so people say, well, do they, they follow you home? 100% they follow you home. I think they mark you or get your scent or something like that, then they follow you home. And then they're just as much as intrigued with you as you are with them. I didn't really ask to go down this rabbit hole, but here I am. I'm down it now, So
Well, my theory is that they've always been. These are regional and generational spirits, and as well, and these they all work together. And this is the one I was actually liked. When I saw this one, it was
oh yeah. So
so.
zooming on, I'll tell you about that one. That was the very first one I seen. And if y'all remember the show The Munsters, this was actually the first one that came up, and it looks like that. So that's like Eddie the Munster to me. Can you zoom in it some more, Mike?
They're here, huh?
Yep.
Eddie the Monster.
So that right there is Eddie the Munster's picture. See the forehead, how they got the V in the top of it, the V in the head of the right there's the V, and then you got the two eyes. And that one came up first, and then the one came up behind it, which is the giant. So that one came up first, and the other ones came up behind it. And if you can see the two pictures, see the Bigfoot on the side of the tree now. It's kind of like on the side of the tree, then it came around the front. And on the other picture, it came around.
There's something right here too.
That's it. That's the Bigfoot. So, yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of experiences that people can't even comprehend. I said, man, you got some wild stuff. And I said, well, when I go out in the woods, I do actually say, hey, I'm coming to the woods. This is your home. I know that you're here. And so my approach to their home is I want to be peaceable with them, and I'm not there to harm them. I'm only there to hunt. I'm there to shoot deer, and I'm there to shoot hogs. And if I can get some meat, then that's what I do.
Yeah, alfalfa. So I like that.
Subsidize my meat, by hunting and getting some good wild game and bring it home and eat that throughout the year.
Yes. So hey, listen, I still want to do this, but folks, you want to keep doing this, Scott, because I'm having a great time. But I said, I've been with my son all day, and it's time for me. Hey, listen, I'm 55. The prostate thing, man. I gotta go pee. So give me a 5-minute break. I don't have any music to play. So if you want, you can keep talking. You want, and you can talk about this image, or talk more about your experiences.
For me to look at questions while you're gone or not?
Can you see the chat?
Let me see. I'm trying to pull up the chat now.
So regardless, folks, I personally have to take a 5-minute break. You keep on going. You're the wingman. Actually, you're the center of. You're the star. Keep performing, please. I wanted to hear more about this. I want to hear more about your experiences, because clearly you got some. It's multidimensional, multifaceted experiences, and I think they're of great value to talk about. Okay.
Okay, I just pulled up the comments. If anybody wants to talk to me on the chat, please do. I'm here now, and if you want to talk to me, ask me any questions, go ahead and pull it up. Let's see if I can get them up. If anyone wants to ask a question, I'm willing to answer any question that you have.
And if they're not, just carry on and share your stories, please.
Yep. And so in that same picture right there, if you look at it, all the way to the right of the big pine tree, there's another face there. But what was incredible was the whole time I was there, all these silhouettes began to come up, and all that came from one question that I asked, and the question was, "Are you the Janu?" And all that came out of Dr. Johnson, Matthew Johnson's books. And so he does have a website, and I went to his website, ordered the books, and then he and I have become friends since then. I've sent him multiple pictures and talk to me on Messenger and stuff. But I do want to actually go to his place. He has a place in Washington now, and see about doing an overnight with him. This past October, I was able to go to an overnight on the Res, which is in Omaha, Nebraska. And I actually went with Barry Webster and his brother Derek, and they have Res squatching over there. And so I was actually able to see, some Bigfoot during the daytime. And at night, we had multiple eye shines that we saw. And so, be honest with you, other than that, I haven't done a whole lot of researching. That was my only time to go researching. And when I flew back into Louisiana from Omaha to New Orleans, Louisiana, I began to just say to myself, my God, do I even want to continue this, or do I even want to do any more? And so they actually mind spoke to me and told me that the best was yet to come. So that's kind of keeping me going right now with all this and what's going on. But it's not really my intention to go out and spend a lot of money on cameras and stuff like that, because they come right up to me. And while I was there on the res, we was actually out one night squatching, and one walked right up to the truck, and I had my phone. I was actually snapping pictures, and one reached in and actually tried to grab my phone. And I just told it, no, don't grab my phone, And it actually looked at me, and then it walked away. So it didn't try to harm me or anything. But that whole weekend we were there, I was there from Thursday night until Sunday morning, and had experiences both day and night there, and got lots of pictures there. And it was quite an experience. But if you ever get a chance, go to Res Squatching on Facebook, and go ahead and become a member, and try to join up with Barry and Derek Webster, and see if there's a possibility you can go on the res with them, because you have to be invited. You can't just show up. You got to be invited to go there. And then once you go there, you plan to do a weekend with them. And that's the story of that. And that happened last October. And so I took some vacation time and went over there and spent time with them. There was actually a lot going on, whole lot of stuff going on the reservation. And so I thought that was pretty incredible. That was a good time. Let's see if we got anything on the chat. I'm trying to read now if anybody put anything on the chat. Okay, I see stuff from Bama Bigfoot, Shelton and Dawn, Christy Price. I don't know if Shelton Dawn's still here. Captain Caveman. I'm looking on the chat now. See if there's anything here. Jay Free. Not seeing anything coming up. But that's the story behind that picture, and that actually picture came from me asking him a question, and that's about, are you the Janu? Okay, let me click more right here. What is that? Comments. Okay, I started to comment. Hey, Scott, I said, I've noticed a lot of more light. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. I'm on my cell phone. More light manipulation in some folks' photos and videos. Do you get that too? Yes. Sometimes there's orbs in there, Christy, and sometimes you just have different things about the photo when you take them. And sometimes like the orbs come through. I've had multiple orbs in my house. I've had multiple orbs in the in my videos and stuff like that, in my pictures, and different lights and stuff like that. And that's right, Shelton and Dawn. It would be weird light anomalies.
Let's see. I'm back. I'm gonna put an invite for anybody who wants to join us in the conversation. You're more than welcome to join us if you have the ability. If you can't, that's okay. So here's the invite. Just follow the directions, and we'll let you in.
Mike, you want to try to go to the next picture? Because I think I've got a few of them here. I'd like to run through all the pictures if we can, and then we can take some questions after that. Okay, so this is Do They Find You Home? This is right outside my house, and actually on the south side of my house, and there's a footprint. Now, let me explain to you about the footprint. It was bitter cold. That was 2 years ago. It was last winter. Really, really, really cold outside. And my wife had run outside to put the trash in the garbage. She'd come back inside. She said, there's a weird footprint outside. I said, do what? She said, yes, there's only one, but there's a really weird footprint out. It's short and it's kind of wide. I said, well, I haven't been outside and you haven't been out there, and I know nobody's been running around the house. We have cameras on our house. And so, yeah, and that footprint came up, so I took a picture of it. And so that was during the wintertime, which is really strange.
Hmm. I can see that. Yeah. I can see the toes. How big do you think that was?
I don't know. It really wasn't that big, but the weird part, it was just wide. It was very, very short and wide. I think it was a young one that came to our house and was running around outside. Now here again, there's only one footprint. How many times have you seen it? This is twice I've only seen where there's one footprint.
I've
And
seen it. I've, yeah.
yes, and so the theory behind that is this: that they come in and out of dimensions. And so
That's
what
right.
they do is they you come in and out of dimensions, and when they come in and out of dimensions, sometimes they leave a footprint behind. Coming from the physical to the spiritual side, or whatever you want to call it. From in and out of dimension.
I'm totally on board with that. So,
Yeah. Let's go to the next picture. See what we got there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, so here's a story about this. Okay. Now, if you notice, there's track lighting there in our kitchen. Okay, and there's three of the lights that's basically pointed toward me. Okay.
right, right.
My wife had a surgery a year ago, and it didn't go well at all. In fact, it went really bad. She had a hip surgery, and they were trying to. She was had a SI joint, which the SI joint nerve goes from your back all the way down to your toes, and so they had to stiffen up her hip to put these three pins in. When they put the three pins in, the top pin actually hit the nerve. So we had to stay. It was supposed to be in and out surgery. So she ended up staying overnight. They pulled the pin out the next night and left it out. When we finally got home, I had to go back to work and everything because I work an evening shift. And so she had texted me, and she said, somebody's moved the light. Something or somebody has moved the light. If you notice the rest of the lights, they're not turning like that.
Yes.
So when I got home that night, um, I started mind speaking to them and talking to them. I said, "What's going on here?" They said, "Well, we moved the lights to actually protect her from evil spirits."
Huh. Well,
Yes.
there you go.
Go
Wow.
to the next picture. I think the next picture is going to blow your mind. Go to the next picture. Look at the. Can you see the face in the corner right there now? Zoom in on it. There's a blue face right there in front of you. Keep zooming in. That is actually a face. And so what I did is I started mind speaking. When I started talking to him, this face appeared right there. Go back
So
up. That's not there. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if that is. That's something else. But that's the face that appeared. You go
Well,
above your. That right there is a face, and that face appeared
right
when I
here.
took the. Yeah, yeah. And so that's what I started doing is mind speaking. Now she had three orbs also in the house, and I told her, I said, "Well, that's a reflection." I told her this. I said, "No, that's a reflection off the light." She said, "Nope, wrong." She said, "Now that I took another picture, they're right next to her." So there were three blue orbs next to her. So let me tell you this: when they decide to come and protect you, they will protect you also.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder if I, I think I took, like I said, when I had that first encounter and I was standing next to that crow medicine man,
Right.
I, my, I'm starting to get the hunch or suspicion that Bigfoot that was crawling up that ravine was protecting me. Because, like I said, I wasn't afraid. Strangely enough, because if things happened, it was so surreal and so bizarre that I was in a state of a bit of shock and also just bewilderment and just in awe. And I think that the thing, crawling up the ravine, scaring us away, ironically, probably protecting me from the guy next to me because as I found out later on in the car of the character of this person was. I was like, wow, you know, because I was more talking about the guy next to me than the Bigfoot at the time, really, because I'm like this at the way the situation, the circumstances was unfolding. It's like I have a Bigfoot crawling up a freaking ravine. I'm next to a dude I just met, like a half an hour ago, and my brother the night before pretty much prophesied that I would run across a Native American in a place I never in a million years would have ever thought I'd run across a Native American. And it just, I think that thing actually protected me from that, because I think that guy, well, I know that guy was nothing but no good. He was bad news. So yeah, why not? You know what I mean? And here's another thing too I'm discovering too, that I've heard from numerous people now, that like angelic beings don't always look the way people expect them to. You know what I mean? In other words, the way, you know, the Vatican and just manipulated our minds, and people like the Mormons and all these images of, you know, this, you know, beautiful white people, you know what I mean, or little angels or little babies, you know, fat naked babies. No, I mean, I think some of these things look just like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And they're actually angelic beings, you know what I mean?
I think protectors come in different shapes and sizes and different, you know, they don't always look what you think they are. Yeah, let's go to the next picture, see what we got there. Because it's let's see what we got here.
I think that's it.
That's all?
That's all he sent me, man.
So that's all.
By the way, next time, and we hope the next time, because it's our first time and we just talked last night. But you know, you if you have a computer, next time you don't even have to depend on me. You can actually present. If you got some images right now, you can present them. All you have to do is there's a button that says right below there. It will say present. There's like stop screen, present, and do you see it down there where it's if you want to stop camera or mute, and also have a present button. If you have more images in your computer, if you got more computers, you can.
Yeah, my computer's I'm on my cell phone, but yeah, but
okay.
Anybody wants to ask questions, why don't you do some questions for me? And, you know, we can do that if you don't mind. I'll be glad.
Yeah, I haven't. There wasn't anything. There was a couple. Obviously, I don't even know if G Free was there. Did you see his one? Those statements. But questions. So, have you been able to ask them questions? Well, you answer that question. So, yes.
I might speak to them. Yes, I do.
Where else were we at with all this?
There's some shelter going to any orbs. Yes, I have orbs. We've had orbs in the house. So lots of orbs.
He says, have you ever ate a meal with them? Do they need to eat nutrition? Or are they 100% spiritual energy form of life?
I'm not 100% sure about that. They haven't told me about that, and I've never seen them actually kill a deer or a hog or anything like that. So that one I can't answer that question because I'm not 100% sure about that.
Now, some people say they have done such a thing as had if ate with the meal with them. Hey, listen, you know, the story of Abraham and the three angelic beings that showed up, right? They ended up having a meal with them, right? So why not? Could that happen? Also, I do believe that once if they transform over or transfer over from a realm to our realm, yeah, I think they have at times when the conditions are right, they have the ability to eat and to, you know, flesh, or to eat vegetation or whatever it is, fruit and vegetables, whatever it is. So
I really don't ask them questions like that. I ask them more knowledge questions, you know. Let's think what else. Also, I told about them coming in the house and stuff. They do come in our house and stuff. And so I asked them one time because they had some little ones here and they were dropping off. They were driving me and my wife crazy. And they would push me at night, wake me up, you know, and do different things like that. The other night, they pushed me on my rear end and pushed me out like, y'all starting to get a little personal now, you know. But anyways, they pushed me. Wake. Oh yeah. So I asked them, so I can feel them. I get a high pitch noise in my ear, and it's like a frequency, and I can feel them when they come around now. And so I asked them, I said, why do you drop your young ones here at my house and you know, my neighborhood and all that? And they said, well, don't you drop your kids off to school? I get it. So basically what they're telling me is we drop them off when they're really young to come and learn about humans. And so once they learn about humans, then, you know, they take off and they go to be in adolescence. And believe me, once they get adolescents, they act crazy. They cloak stuff. They love cloaking things. They love hiding things. Like I'll be getting ready to go to work and get my lunch together and stuff. I get my keys, my wallet and all that. And also I can't find it. And I'm like, come on, give me my keys, my wallet. I got to go to work. I'm going to be late. All of a sudden it'll be there. Or it'll take and move it from the table to the countertop, do something like that. And I'm like, I didn't even put that there, so I knew.
Sure.
And my wife's saying, yep, they're messing with you again. I said, yep, that's the young ones. They're learning how to do all kind of stuff. But the way they start out is when they come, they have the ability to cloak, okay? So you see a little short thing that's no taller than your waist that's zinging around the house and stuff like that. And what they look like is just little black streaks and stuff going in the house. And I've actually seen them before. They'll stand there, then they'll take off and cloak. And they're practicing. And then they know we're not going to hurt anything. And so the next thing you see is all you see white flashes, and then they've learned how to cloak them. Oh, well, we've been downstairs. We have a 2-story house, so we've been downstairs and we hear them running upstairs. They'll run downstairs and like we have a cat and a dog, and then all of us downstairs looking up. And I'm looking at my wife going, oh, Lord, they're terrorizing the upstairs now. So they have that ability.
That's fascinating that you are going through those experiences. Sheldon asks, have you seen the baby Bigfoot beating a seagull to death on top of pine
I did
line?
see that. Yes, I have.
I've seen it as well, yeah.
So, here's one I was going to throw at you, and I talked to the audience while you were away. But anyways, I had the chance to go to last October. I did some research and went out to Res Squatching, and that's with Barry Webster and Derek Webster. And they
okay.
Yeah,
you went there? You did that? You went with them, but Webster?
Yes, I did.
No kidding. Oh wow.
A little bit about that, and so I took vacation, went over there, and in order to get a decent flight, which was under $1,000, you got to fly on a Thursday and come back on a Monday. So that's what I did. And actually, we're only supposed to go for the weekend, but the first night I was there, I had an incredible time, and me and Barry got to know each other and stuff. And so he took me for a tour around the res and all around there. There's a lot of property and beautiful, beautiful.
Wait a minute, I remember this. When did you do this?
Last October.
Last October.
In the end of October.
Did you guys film? Did you guys film that? Did Barry film that and make a little?
Yeah, we did little videos of that. Sure did.
Okay, I think I remember that. Maybe I don't.
Yeah, so the first night I did like an intro and stuff, and did me and Barry there, and we talked about our experience and stuff, and I put it on Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, our it's our Facebook page, and me and David Hollis, and so and then later on I came back and I went to David's house and we did a little recap of what happened there, and so I'll give you a quick recap of what happened. The first night we were there, we were staying in a camper. Campground wasn't quite ready yet. We had some cabins we were staying in, so they had to work on the cabins a little bit. And so we stayed in the camper. And so about 1 o'clock in the morning, he decides to walk outside, and has to take a leak and stuff. And so he goes out there and he says, Scotty, he opens the door and says, Scotty, come outside. So I walk out there, and sure enough, about 10 foot off the ground, there's these two eyes. Let me explain something to you. At night, when you look at them, you don't see them. They're not in a figure form. They're just in a shadow form, okay? And all you see are these eyes. Now, when you look at the eyes, basically take a coffee can and turn it on its end and hollow it out and then put an LED light inside of it. That's what it looks like.
Sure.
And so these eyes are sparkling and stuff, and they're looking at us, and I'm like, oh, wow. He said, just talk to him. Just introduce yourself to him. So I said, okay, my name is Scott Pace. I flew over here. There's long ways to come, from way down south by the Gulf of Mexico. And I said, I came to see you. And I came to see your people here. And I said, I mean you no harm. And I expect, I ask the same thing of you. Please don't harm me while I'm here. I'm just here to learn from you. And I said, I wish peace upon you and your family and your families here and your clans. And I said, I wish you to give me peace in return, And so that was my intro to him. And so all of a sudden, the eyes start sprinkling at me, like turning. Have you ever seen a thing called a kaleidoscope? How you look through when you was a kid?
Sure.
It looked like that. And so it was beautiful. It was amazing. And so I just began to sing to him. I sang a hymn to him. And I said, when peace like a river attendeth my way. And I began to just sing to him. And all of a sudden, two little figures stood up on the side of it. And then their eyes started sprinkling everything, just doing a kaleidoscope thing. I thought that was incredible. Well, that night it was really, really cold. The wind was whistling through there and it was whipping. And it was probably in the low 30s. And so Barry said, well, I'm going back in the camper. I said, it's getting late. I said, okay. And he said, don't be surprised if they come by and slap the side of the camper or something tonight or something like that. But this is what they did. They didn't do that, okay? And I think if people go there and they have the wrong attitude and the wrong intentions, that they aggravate them, okay? They didn't do that to us. In fact, they did something totally different. That night they came to the edge, and I kept mind speaking and said, please come to the window so I can take your picture. And they never would let me take their picture.
Of course not.
But what they did is they came to the camper and they got on the top of the camper and put their hands on. They would rock us like a baby all night long. They would rock the camper all night long, rock the camper all night long. And you could tell it wasn't a wind because it was the winds was in a different direction, and they were rocking it to another direction, you know. So that was pretty incredible. So the next night we all got together and had some people, you know, got together with us and everything, and they got the campground ready and the camps we were in all ready and everything, and so we went out to dinner and went to the local casino and ate, and then we came back, and then we went to a hilltop that they got over there, and we went to a place where this one is there, and they call him Stevie Wonder, and so he's like a clan leader or something there. And the reason why is his head rocks back and forth and does different things, you know, and that's what he does when he looks around. He's rocking his head back and forth. But anyways, we pulled up on this thing, and immediately I looked up and I seen this eye shine. I said, oh no, they're here. And so we were in two different vehicles, and so we pulled over in a logging road. We all got out. And you have to understand there's no traffic up there, okay? There's nothing up there on the reservation. So we all got out. There's probably 8 of us, I guess. So Barry and his brother walked up to the edge of the road, and there's a ravine going down, then a big old bluff that goes up, a big hill that goes up. And so he began to talk. So, you know, yo-ho, Sitanga. It's been a long time since we talked. You know, come over and talk to us, brother. So we want to talk to you. He said, we have friends here that come from a long ways. So they want to talk to you. And so he said, Scotty, y'all come forward and introduce yourself. So same thing. I went over and started talking to him, you know. And all of a sudden, all these eyes started lighting up. And what was incredible was they started coming down toward us. And they were way on the top of this bluff. And let me get my fingers right, you can see. But what they started doing was they started gliding down. They would actually just like glide down. And that's what happened. They would just come down like this. They didn't move like this back before. They came, just glided down like that. And they got right in front of us. And you could see they're really, really big. And all thing you could tell there was just an image. You know, it was just like an outline. But they came, a bunch of them, like 3 or 4 of them came right there next to us. And then the rest of them were up on the hill back there. And what was really strange was you could see white eyes, you could see blue eyes. We seen some orange, and we seen some red, one red. But after we got there a while and everything, then all of them turned white, you know. And they would move around in different spots and stuff like that. But the thing that got me that night was really, really strange was, remember I told you it looked like a coffee can if you turn it? Well, this one right here actually turns sideways. When it turns sideways, you can actually see almost like inside the head, and you can see the eyes projecting out. Now that one blew me away. You can actually see their eyes shine projecting out, and it was gliding down. They don't when they walk, they don't move up and down. The heads don't bobble. They just glide. And so they come down the hill a little bit, and they came closer toward us. And so one of them was up the hill a little bit, and I began to look at it, and they were talking about leaving and all that. So I just locked eyes with it. When I locked eyes with it, it was really incredible because a prism came from its eyes to my eyes, and it was locking. It was going back and forth like this, going back and forth. And I think what it was doing was just reading my life as it was reading me. And so I just told him thank you, you know. And so we had to leave, and so we went to another spot, and didn't really see too much on these other spots and everything. And then after that, you know, we went in for the night. Well, the next night's when it got kind of creepy. Everybody had left. We did a little show on their thing the next day and talked about our experiences and stuff. And then the following night, we went out by ourselves, and it was just me, Barry, and the other guy was driving the truck. His name was Terry. He's since passed away. God bless him. And then Barry's sister was Deej. And so we all went out that night. And so the first place we went to was the same hill. And then, oh, I forgot to tell you about another spot we went to. I'm sorry, I forgot this. This is really key. So we went to this one place they call Hard Knocks, and it was 2 vehicles. And so we went down in the bottom of this place, and there was a bunch of hills, and went way down in the bottom, turned around, and we were going out. And so some of us had got out of the vehicles, and some of them stayed in and stuff like that. They didn't want to get out. So it was cold that night, you know. And so I was actually by this one guy. He had a Jeep, and I was by his front bumper by the radiator. And we got out, and we could see these eyes shine all around us, you know. I mean, it was just like running all around us. You could hear them running too, and it was moving around. And so they were close. And so all of a sudden we were talking, and one of them dropped out of the tree right next to us. I mean, you could hear boom, and then takes off again. And one of them actually dropped out of the tree behind us and ran right next to us. And so that was incredible. Got that close to us. I was within a foot of that one. It was within inches, to be honest with you. And so we left in that place, and that was it. After that night, we just went in for the night. It was kind of late, probably about 3 o'clock in the morning then. So the next night, we went out by ourselves, and the first place we went to was really kind of creepy. We kind of got chased by something that night. That was weird. We got out of the truck, and then something came charging toward us. And I don't even know what it was, but it was big and it was heavy. We ran back in the truck, and then we drove off and got away from that place. So they didn't want us there. And so we went back to Hard Knocks, and we were down there, and we had a weird experience there too. It was like a magenta prism came down out of the sky, and then something I've never seen before. There was what I don't think I can call it is a light beam, and a figure came out of it and started walking right in front of the truck. And what was really strange was he didn't care if we were there or not. Just like we didn't even matter. This light being walked in front of us. And so we left there. We went to another place, and then they called this place Monument. That was the last place we went. And it was a really, really strange night. And when we pulled up there, we could see these eyes shining, these trees in front of us, and it's like the little ones were playing all in the trees, going back and forth. And there again, you could see them moving around, kind of going back and forth and everything. We could hear things all around us. And so when we pulled up there, Barry asked me, he said, "You want to get out of the truck?" I said, "No." I said, I don't feel it tonight. I'm not getting out. And then they had actually, mine spoke to me when we pulled up and said, "Don't get out." So I didn't. So Barry and his sister got out on the passenger side, and they walked toward the front of the truck, and they didn't go past the bumper, and they were standing there. And so the windows were down, and the guy in front of me, he was driving, and so I was behind him in the 4-door truck, and I was sitting in the back seat behind the driver. And so things started walking around us, and he was smoking a cigarette. After he finished the cigarette, he rolled up his window. I said, "Well, leave mine down." He said, "Okay." He said, "They're walking all around us." I said, "All right, I'm fine with that." So they were walking all around us, and I began to take pictures. Now, what was really weird was they actually took over my camera, and I was trying to do a night vision thing, an app on my iPhone. I couldn't get it to work. They took over my camera. When I started taking pictures, I actually have pictures of them next to me, and I got the silhouettes of them too in the picture. But what was really weird was one walked right up to the edge of the truck, and it was right next to Terry, who was driving, and he reached in and tried to grab my iPhone. I got a picture of that. I should have sent you that one, but I didn't send that one to you. But anyways, it reached
Next
in
time.
and tried to grab. Yeah, next time for sure. And he reached in and tried to grab my phone, and when he did, his hair actually rubbed against my arm, and I just told him no, and I pulled my phone away, and it looked at me like, "Really?" I'm like, "No." Then it walked around to the front of the truck and either zapped Barry or grabbed him by the arm. I don't know what happened, but it did something to him, and they come and got in the truck after that. He said one of them just tried to grab me or tried to zap me or something, But anything, the good thing about Barry's Facebook page, if you go to Res Squatching, Barry actually does lives. That's how I got interested in all this stuff, in the very beginning. After 2019, 2020, I got interested in all that. So Barry's been inviting me to go up there since then. And I finally got an opportunity to go, and I went. But anyways, you can see the eye shine on his Facebook page and everything. He does that live. He goes out live and does that. And so it's pretty interesting. He's got some really, really interesting story. But while I was there, I asked him, I said, "What is the craziest story you've ever heard? What is the craziest thing of everything?" And he paused for a minute. He started thinking. He said, "Well," he said, "my nephew was running from the police, the res police one time. He got a little trouble and stuff. So he was running from them, and he was just scared. So he ran across a field, and they got this tall grass that's out there, and it's in wintertime and stuff. So he ran across that field, and he said he just ran so far that he just collapsed, and he just laid there. He couldn't move anymore. But he felt the ground moving. And when he got enough energy to pick himself up, he kind of like did a push-up and was looking up, and all of a sudden one come out of the ground by him and walked up to him and looked at him, just went like that and walked off. And I'm like, okay, that right there for me mentally is very hard to comprehend.
Not for me. I've seen it.
So anyways,
not for me.
when I got ready to leave, I had got a rental car and everything, and I was driving out. The whole time I was there, I kept asking Barry about these potholes they had all over the place, There was these holes in the ground and divots. So before I left, they actually mind spoke to me and told me, said, take a picture of that hole in the ground. So I took a picture of the hole in the ground. I didn't see it. But later on, I seen footprints around that hole, and they showed me those footprints and stuff. And when I got back from my trip, I was actually in the airport in Omaha, and I was flying back to New Orleans, and I would just sit there thinking, I said, man, my God, this goes to show they can project mind thoughts anywhere. And so I was sitting there in the airport, and I was like thinking, my God, man, there's no way I can top this. There's no other research I can do to top this. I'm done, you know. It's a one and done for me. All of a sudden, mind spoke to me and said, the best is yet to come.
I believe that. Yeah.
So look, I get home and I start watching YouTube and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I see this guy. It's called I think his face. It's not. I'm sorry, Facebook not, but it's a YouTube channel called God 333 or Godlike or something like that. 333. It's the guy that does all these different videos and stuff like that. I'm not sure about it, but don't quote me on that. But it's something like that. But anyways, he showed one that was a military video, and there's this tank, looks like an Abrams tank there, and all of a sudden you see this black image next to it. And some of y'all may have seen this. But all of a sudden it's walking around like it's a big Bigfoot next to it, and all of a sudden the sand starts blowing up around it, and it goes straight down in the ground. Now there you go. Again, it's not what you believe, it's what you're willing to accept, and then it's what you're willing to comprehend. Can you accept that these things happen? Can you accept everything that they can do? And so people want to say that they're flesh and blood. They want to say, well, you know, they're this, they're that, and everything. And I'm here to tell you that I got living proof that they're way more than that. They're way more than that. They can cloak, they can zap you, they can run in front of your phone, and you know, and all those things, and they can do all that stuff. You know, they can zap your phone, because actually before it was 2022. I was on our property up in North Louisiana, and one ran in front of my phone while I was taking pictures and video and stuff like that, because I was just taking up pictures of our land we had been developing and stuff, and making it. We were trying to make a small campground up there, and they actually came. One ran in front of my phone and zapped it, and took out my camera. Now, what was really weird is when I put the camera toward me, it worked. When I put it toward the front, it wouldn't work. And so I actually had to bring it to phone place, and they replaced my camera for me. So I got that done just before I went to Barry's place. But Mike, if you got any more questions, you know,
I've listen. I am so grateful that you spent the past 2 hours and you opened up and shared all this stuff, because I can relate with a lot of what you're saying. Honestly, there's nothing far fetched in anything that you're saying. You know, I just finally got around to Fort's book. What's the heck's his name again? Charles Fort, the Book of the Dam. Do you know about it?
I don't. I'm sorry about that.
The Book of the Dam, and it's not what you think. It's not some negative thing, and it's not about going to hell and all that kind of stuff. It is the damned are us here on earth, those who are willing to look outside the box and speak the way you did today. The mainstream, whether it doesn't matter, whoever's the narrative, the mainstream narrative, do not like to hear stuff like what you have to say, because what that means is that you're challenging their comfortable delusion, and that's what it is. This life is a lot more complex, much more bewildering, a lot more mysterious than a lot of people want to accept. And what you brought up is something that I have gone through many a time. I haven't lately, but I really, everything you said. I really appreciate you actually saying this stuff. This is what this world needs is a little more Scots in the world. You know what I mean? And a lot more Scott Paces in the world. I want to say, first of all, thank you for sharing your Sunday night with me and the rest of us, and those that will hear it in the future.
We'll do another show if you like. I'm more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, man. You have no idea how much you and I are kindred spirits when it comes to that stuff. And
the UFOs yet. So I haven't even got in touch on the topic of the UFOs and how they're connected. So I mean, this is
absolutely. You're absolutely right. UFO orb.
Let's do it on UFOs and all the other stuff, because I've actually had 3 UFO sightings.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
So
we'll do it. If y'all like it, and I'll be glad to do it.
yeah, we'll do it maybe in a couple of months or something like that.
Oh,
Give it a
whatever.
little time.
We'll schedule some stuff. I'm fixing to get real busy at work and stuff, and so yeah, we'll see how it works out. And I've got a
Whenever you're
couple other
free,
shows.
friend. Whenever you're free. I think
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
awesome. I really appreciate what you've done, and now you guys know why most people only have two shows. I mean, hour shows. It's not because of people's attention spans. It's because guys' bladders don't last as long as you think. When you have this prostate stuff, it's like after an hour or an hour and a half, you start having issues. That's what it's really about. They don't care about attention span. In fact, everyone knows that the second hour is always better than the first hour once everyone gets warmed up. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you spent 2 hours with us, and you're awesome. Happy birthday.
Thank you so
And
much. I appreciate it.
thank you for the prayers. And before we go, we'll just do it over again. Colossians 1:16 through 17. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, dominions, principalities, powers. All things were created by him, for him, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And what you just shared is a lot of that validates it. You know what I mean? More proof
Yeah.
that validates these scriptures. And there is a spiritual realm. There is a creator, and things are a lot more interesting and more complex than people want to give life credit for. So with that, thank you, Sheldon. Let me thank everyone else, and then I'll sign off. Thank you, Jay Freed, Christy Price. Thank you. Who am I skipping here? So the people who commented. Captain Caveman, I can't wait to talk to you. War Criminal 7, Damien K. Good seeing you again. Don't forget about Bama BF and whoever else. So thank you guys. Many blessings to you all, and have a great night.
Thanks again.